The real root issue, the real problem is that most men are unable to create long-term consistency with their nutrition and with their exercise. Sean Griffin here from Kettlebell Transformation. Welcome to another episode of the Kettlebell Guys podcast. Today I've got a quick one for you, and it's based on us surveying almost 11,000 men in the last year about their health and fitness. So when guys come into our program or when they apply for our program, they fill out a survey. And on that survey, we ask them what the number one challenge is that they are facing to be able to get the results that they want. And there were some interesting results that I noticed when I was looking through these submissions and analyzing the data earlier this week. And so what we found was that 32% of men said that motivation was their number one challenge. 20% of men said that lack of time for a consistent workout was their number one challenge. And only 11% of men said that long-term consistency was their number one challenge. But interestingly, when I went and looked at the data, the 11% of men who said that long-term consistency was their number one challenge, they were twice as likely to actually get great results in our program when I looked at the men who had joined and then gotten results. And I thought that this was really compelling to me because what it tells me is that the real root issue, the real problem is that most men are unable to create long-term consistency with their nutrition and with their exercise. Now, they believe one of two things. They believe that either they struggle with motivation or that they don't have time for consistent workouts. But the thing is that if you feel like you struggle with motivation, I have a simple fix. You need to understand that motivation doesn't fucking matter. I've been training consistently for 14 years, 4 days a week, every week, without missing, unless I was sick or injured or on vacation. I have been motivated for no more than half of those workouts, but I have done them anyway. And so what you need to do with motivation is understand that your motivation is always going to go in cycles. Sometimes you're going to feel very motivated. Sometimes you're not going to feel motivated at all. You have to be able to separate your actual action from your motivation level. We've talked about that a lot on this podcast. It's one of the key tenets of our program. It's one of the core values, which is action precedes motivation. So the first thing to do is just stop expecting to be motivated all the time. Stop needing to be motivated all the time. Just understand that regardless of your motivation levels, the only way to actually get what you want is to consistently take action. So that's number one. So motivation and a lack of motivation, that's not the root problem. That's not even a problem. That's just like a feeling. Okay. Now, the other problem is lack of time for consistent workouts. And to me, that's really just a situation of a guy's life, depending on his work, depending on his demands at home. But the reality is that no matter how busy you are, you have the time to carve out to do workouts consistently. What you're lacking really is a real system that fits your life. So it's not the fact that you don't have the time. It's just that you don't have a system that fits your life and the little slivers of time that you do have. Because every guy has the same 24 hours in a day. And even incredibly busy, successful men are able to stay fit. How do they do that? Well, they have a clear-cut system that allows them to prioritize enough time towards their fitness and towards healthy eating that still allows them to have the body, the strength, the health, and the fitness that they want, and not take away from the things that are also important to them, like their careers, building their businesses, showing up as a leader, both at work and at home, being a great husband or partner or dad or whatever that looks like for you in your life. Stop making time the excuse and just understand that if you're going to be a successful man with a lot going on, both at work and at home, well, that's awesome. That's great. But that doesn't mean that you can just say, I don't have time for working out consistently. You might not have time to go carve out 90 minutes to go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week, which if you don't, then don't have that be the thing that you need to do in order to stay fit. Instead, what you need is a better system, one that allows you to create long-term consistency and invest the least amount of time possible in order to still get the results. And at the end of the day, that is what I have found in my own personal life. And now working with over 1,000 men in the kettlebell transformation system works incredibly well, which is specifically invest the minimum amount of time and effort into your fitness so that you can get the biggest reward, you can hit the point of diminishing returns, and you can create long-term consistency. Because I promise you, when you make your fitness accessible, when you make it as simple as possible, when you make it take up as little time as possible, what happens is it becomes a lot easier to create long-term consistency. It becomes a lot easier to have those days where you just don't feel like doing it, but yet you still somehow justify doing it because your kettlebells are right there and your workout, is going to be done in 40 minutes. And you know that if you just get up out of your chair, or if you just get up out of bed and you just start, within 40 to 45 minutes, you will be done and you will feel significantly better. That is a lot different than having to get up out of bed, but then also having to drive to the gym, find parking, go in and maybe weigh down machines because the gym is busy, or just be in a depressing gym where you got to use a bunch of different equipment, right? If you're struggling with long-term consistency, or if you're struggling with motivation, or if you feel like you don't have time, then the very best thing that you can do, in my opinion, is you get yourself on a daily basis as close as possible to the actual action that is going to produce the result that you want. You want to remove as many steps. That's really, really key for creating long-term consistency, is you remove steps. You create an environment that is conducive to you consistently taking action. So if you have the steps of, I need to get up, I need to pack a bag, I need to go to my car, I need to drive, I need to park, I need to go into the gym, I need to check in, I need to go put my equipment in a locker, I need to go out, I need to figure out what equipment is available, I need to do my workout, I gotta go back to my locker, get dressed, maybe even shower, then I gotta drive back home. I gotta do all of those things in order to get my workout, versus I just have to get up, go down in my garage or down in my basement and literally just start working out. It's a totally different ballgame. So long story short, if you struggle with motivation, or if you feel like you don't have time, or if both of those things in reality are resulting in you are not being consistent long-term, then be real with yourself. Motivation doesn't matter. It's a non-factor when you understand that action precedes motivation. You start taking action consistently, motivation will come with it. But even if motivation doesn't come with it, or probably more likely, even if motivation continues to go up and down, and sometimes you feel like doing it and sometimes you don't, you take action anyway. And if you're struggling with time, well, then reduce the amount of time that it takes you to do the things that are necessary to actually get the result. Eliminate steps and therefore invest as little amount of time as possible to still get the end result that you're going for. And understand that from a workout standpoint, consistency over a long period of time and progressively building strength and doing a few things well, those are the ways that you get the most with the least amount of input. And you hit the point of diminishing returns with way less effort and time invested. And that's really, really important, because unless you're trying to be a bodybuilder, or unless you're training for a very specific event or sport or something like that, you probably don't need much more than just like the very basics done consistently and done well. And then you just need to create a routine of doing that consistently 4 days a week. That's it. That's all you need to maintain an extremely high level of fitness. It's very manageable. Anyone can do it. So if you're on the fence, if you've been using the excuse of motivation, time, or maybe you've been using the excuse that another 11% of men in our survey have used, which is confusion about the best fitness plan, then do yourself a favor and eliminate choices, remove distractions, remove steps, train with just kettlebells, just do the basics, 2 hand swings and Turkish get-ups, and do those extremely well 4 days a week, roughly 100 swings, roughly 10 get-ups, 5 per arm, and just do that until you go from 35 pounds to 44 pounds to 53 pounds, all the way up to 100 pounds with your swings, and at least 70, 80, 90, even 100 pounds with your Turkish get-ups. If you do that consistently, I promise you, there's really nothing else that you need to do with your fitness. You should walk, and then if you just eat right, you will get the results that you want to get. If that sounds too simple or too easy, just know that that's exactly what we do inside of the Kettlebell Transformation System. It is that easy. It is that simple. The big freaking reveal behind the curtain is that all of the noise, all of the complication, all of the endless variety, all of the BS in the fitness industry is exactly that. It's BS. It's endless variety meant to sell you things. You don't need anything more than the essentials. And if you're not being consistent, you don't have a routine that sticks, then stop trying to do everything and stop worrying about everything and just pick one thing and do that thing well and do it consistently. Hope this helps. If you're looking for help, if you want to be able to remove all the guesswork, if you want a proven plan and you want what's really missing for most men, which is skin in the game and accountability that forces them to show up and create real habits that develop a real lifestyle routine that doesn't fade over time or that doesn't depend on motivation, then you should consider Kettlebell Transformation and working with us. We've got an amazing coaching staff of 10 absolute badass coaches. We've got a whole staff that supports this program. And for the men who come in and show up consistently, they get game-changing transformations and they get incredibly strong training with kettlebells, and they figure out exactly how to lose the body fat that they're sick and tired of carrying around, that they know is putting them at risk with their health, that they know is making it so that they don't like what they see in the mirror and photos, and that they know is setting all the wrong examples for the people who depend on them. So if that's you and you want help, hit us up. If not, I hope you find yourself a very simple routine with kettlebell training, and then you just do it consistently. All right, have a great day.